Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today we're at a fun property with Terry. Now, I met Terry a while ago, several years ago.
It was at least 5 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah, we came and did a landscape consult and talked a little bit about her property, and she's done some amazing, amazing changes. Now, this video is going to be part of my What Do Water-Wise Designs in Utah Look Like? And this is an excellent, excellent example of how you can take a property that was all grass, still leave some grass, have it be water-wise, have it be functional and beautiful. So I'm excited. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been here.
We moved here about 7 years ago from Florida, so all the Utah plants were very new to me. I grew up in the Northeast, so when I first got here, I was excited that we were in a zone where maybe I could grow hydrangeas and things that don't like it here, which it took me a while to decide after I planted them and they died and planted them and they died. And then I learned about the soils and, it's not just the zone that matters. So I've kind of gone from that to getting plants that like to live in Utah, that don't need a lot of water, but still lots of flowers that are beautiful. And we try to do either edible or it flowers or it doesn't need a lot of water, then it can be here.
I love it. You've narrowed it down to what you want and what you need and what can work here and what works for you. That's the important part. What works for you too.
Yes.
Great. So let's start and kind of look at your property and see what you've done.
Absolutely.
Because it's gorgeous.
So this is a pretty big area we took out that was all grass completely. It took out an entire grass zone of watering zone and we converted it all to drip. And now it's fruit trees, grapes, and it's just some flowers in between that are pretty happy here.
I love your path. Now, were you the one who put this path in?
I did put path in. It was a fair bit of work to do myself, but I did it in a summer and I had a lot of free time, so
I love it.
It worked out okay.
So how did you do it? What was the process of creating?
So after we did a little of everything, to be honest, to get rid of the grass. This section we had removed. But then some of the sections I tried doing the solarization with plastic, and that took a lot of time and it looked ugly for a long time, while you're waiting. So I kind of found my favorite way to do it was cardboard right on the grass.
Oh, really?
And then a lot of mulch on top, a lot of mulch. Then it looked pretty reasonable for while it was dying, just for the rest of the season.
Okay.
And then it died off. I did put the edging in though.
That's smart.
First, and you had to dig a pretty good sized trench, which is not a lot of fun in a rocky yard.
Okay, right here I'm going to actually stick what a trench looks like because that is extremely important.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it's deep. This part, no, but where I have all the other edging, it's a good 6 inches deep. Finding the good, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It keeps the grass where it belongs, and then when you put mulch in it on the other side, it
stays better.
It stays better and doesn't flow over the top.
I'll also say that all of these rocks in here are from planting things in my yard.
Oh!
I did not buy any rocks. Except for the pavers, of course, and then some of them are from rock hunting trips, just pretty ones, but all of these regular rocks are from planting things in my yard.
So if you're nervous about rocks in your yard, there can be useful things for them.
And there is a benefit. The pavers don't sink.
No.
They have nowhere to go.
And it's just it's a really, really beautiful look. And it's,
I like it.
At first I was wondering how it would be to walk across this path. So just so people understand the feeling of it, you don't feel the rocks under your feet.
No, it's pretty solid.
It feels solid and smooth.
Yeah. So we put in some fruit trees. We've got some apples. These are all semi-dwarf.
So what do you have in here? What was your thoughts when you picked plants in here?
So we wanted to put fruit trees to so I sort of made little sections for each tree in a way, just to kind of keep it. And then you have like a little pathway to get to each tree. And the little areas, I have a little herb garden over here too. I've got some lavender and some other thyme and rosemary, oregano.
And you've mixed those in as landscape plants.
Yeah.
And they're gorgeous.
And they smell great and they flower and the bees love them.
And they're right here, just accessible, you know,
Right.
to the entrances to your house.
Inside. And then, yeah, I've got asters, I've got some Russian sage, I have black-eyed Susans and yarrow. I mean, all of these things really don't need almost any water. So that really is nice.
How often do you water?
So currently I'm doing 2 times a week for about 30 minutes on the drip in this section. And then we'll sometimes do a little more water to the trees if it seems dry. I do kind of use the water meter and check because I know that trees need a little more water sometimes and they're not on a separate system. I know some people have that availability to, you know, put the trees on one and your plants on another, but.
So that's another good point. You can customize things the way that you need to, that works best for you.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun and you can make it really pretty too. So this is a whole section without grass. And I think we still have plenty of grass. There's some roses in here and.
Well, and what the other thing that I like is you can absolutely see that you know, this is May, right? And you've got beautiful color already, but I can see plants that are going to be color year round.
A lot of them provide a lot of color. The roses, of course, bloom for a long time.
So that was another question I had for you. I know a lot of people worry, you know, they kind of get like that paralysis before you start a project because you feel like you have to do it all right at first.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I definitely did this in sections. Like this area right here we did first. And then we extended it beyond this section because we decided to take out all of this. These are tart cherries that we put in. They were in the grass initially.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
They were little, yeah. So we decided to take out, that's a pretty big area of grass. It's probably what, 10 or 12 feet. Yeah. And then we still have a huge thing of grass, which is mostly happy. There's still some areas that aren't, but you know, it's hard to keep grass perfect in Utah.
And you don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would like to, and maybe, you know, there's certain sections of a yard that you can work on, but the rest of it, I think it's good to just kind of let go a little bit.
My husband has kind of been in charge of doing the grass. It was just fully Kentucky blue, and he's been adding some seed over the years that have a little bit happier, like a more mixture of grasses that don't get so angry in the summertime. And if I knew what exactly they were.
See, and I love that. So you don't have to rip out all your grass to add, you can overseed with different.
Overseed. Yep. Yeah. And it does pretty well. And it's probably rejuvenates it a bit too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know perennial rye is one of the good ones.
That may be in it.
Yeah. It's happier different times of the year than the bluegrass. And you can just overseed it. You don't have to rip out all your grass. Yeah. I love that.
So I've done my grapevines like this and said I didn't have a big long area to put them in, so I kind of double fenced it a bit. And they've been pretty happy like that. So this is my only part of my entire yard that gets any type of shade ever. It's obviously a little after 10 in the morning, but by noon this is in full shade. So these bleeding hearts were here when we moved in and they've stayed happy. Probably going to remove the irises from this area because 1, they're too crowded, and 2, I think they don't get enough sun. But they made flowers this year. Yeah. But the vinca major or periwinkles, a lot of people don't like because it is invasive and it will grow anywhere and it will spread everywhere.
That makes it perfect.
This is a good spot for it because we are trying to kind of keep an area in this rock, I don't know, so that it wasn't spilling so much dirt in.
Well, look how pretty
so
it
we've been
is.
pretty happy with them, and they seem to be, it's kind of a pretty plant. They make flowers. So if you have the right spot for them, I think they're great. And then I put my columbines here because I think it's the only place I found that they're happy too. I don't know, I haven't found them very happy in heavy sun.
Now tell me about this area over here. I love what you've done here. How did this come about?
This here was just an area that was kind of an awkward space to water with the square. So I kind of just evened it off and took out the grass there too and threw some more pavers and rock down.
I'm going to show them the view that you're looking at when you sit in these chairs.
Because if you are going to water, and I do love the whole localscapes plan where you have the central open shape, When I learned about that, though, it was kind of a little more difficult to do. So I sort of have, I feel like several central open shapes.
And that is,
you know,
actually works.
yeah.
That works.
Like on this area over here, I have.
So the reason for the central open shape is just to avoid the messy look that some landscapes can get when you just
Right.
try to make it all plants.
And you don't
you've
have to
accomplished
water
that.
awkward corners and
Yes.
such. It really does help.
And you've done that. You've accomplished that with everything that you've done here.
Yeah, so
It's
I've tried
absolutely
with that. We've
gorgeous.
started adding some tall trees just to give us more shade to this wall. The cement wall gets very hot.
Yeah.
So more green is always better to help.
Yes.
But green things that don't need a lot of water are even better. So I found that these columnar oaks do really well here. And I don't know, I have to give a little plug to Progressive Plants because
Yes.
they really do a good job at selling plants that do well here and letting you know that where they'll work and what soil, and that's really been a great help for us.
Well, what I love, is Cameron with Progressive Plants. He doesn't just sell the plants. He
Yes.
goes and he plants them everywhere he can figure out to plant them and then watches them.
Yep.
He'll head back to different sites and see how they're doing over the years and over the seasons and
I love
the
that.
different conditions. So yeah, when you go there and you say, hey, I live in Pleasant Grove, or I live in Eagle Mountain, or I
Yep.
live in Park City, he knows what does well there because he's actually planted plants
Right.
there and then watches them.
Yep, it's really been great for us. I mean, I've learned so much from him and from you following your channel, and a lot of the Facebook groups I've been on for years with some very helpful people on there that have lots of research. You got to make sure you're getting good
And you don't-
research
you
too.
definitely don't have to do this alone. There's people who've done it before who
Yep.
are continuing to do it, and everybody's making mistakes and learning. And then if we share that information,
Right.
so that's why I'm really, really grateful you're doing this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm happy to. And plus,
This really, really helps.
you initially talked about this, and my husband was really more worried about the grass when we first had you here. And he was like, I don't want to take out all the grass, and
How does he feel
now
about
he
it
loves
now?
it.
Oh,
no,
good.
and he's like, our yard is paradise now.
Convert.
So-
See, and that's what I love, because grass may be easy and comfortable.
Yeah.
An all grass landscape where, or the traditional landscapes where, there's just a few bushes here and there.
Right.
But you can go from comfortable to paradise.
Right. And
And
it
it's
really,
not that hard.
I mean, all the flowers and such. Ice plants are another thing that works so well in ground cover, at least for our clay soil. They don't seem to need very much to
Well,
be
and
happy.
Look at the
And
just
they're
the
gorgeous
difference.
when they open,
There's different colors. Yeah, I love them. And then it's all connected with paths, so it's easy to navigate.
Yeah, pretty much everything is. Well, we can go back over to the paths. I was
And then
just
you've got
showing you
focal
this little
points.
edging too.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing we learned, this Rose of Sharon, we planted one of our first plants way too close to the wall.
Aha.
So, when we planted those cherry trees, I was like, we have to plant those. And they looked like they were sticking out in the middle of the yard when we first put them in. But that's something to think about, is don't plant it so close because they're going to get bigger. And, so we've gotten better about planting things further away.
Yeah, you just live and
they're
learn.
not-
And
yeah.
that's the fun of it, is you
Yep.
learn as you go.
Yep, lilacs
Beautiful
do
lilac.
really well here. This bloomed beautifully this year, but it's finished now, so.
And then look at this area here. It's like the end cap to your property.
Yeah, with some yarrow in there, and these snowball bushes have been really happy in there. Just threw in a random rose, some other lilies. I think all the lilies do so well too.
Yeah, that's what I found, especially in our area. We're northern Utah, kind of
Yeah.
the southern part of northern Utah. Well, I guess we're not as far as Nephi, but
I've done well with the Asiatics, the tiger lilies, daylilies.
yeah.
Those survive the winters fine. I don't think calla lilies.
No.
I love them so much. I wish they did. And the cannas have to be dug up too, I think,
Yeah.
right?
But they're pretty, and if there's spots that you have where you're naturally getting more water,
Right.
it's a fun place to put annuals.
Yeah. I started planting nasturtiums too. They're easy to pop a seed in the ground, and they grow really fast, and they're beautiful.
Yeah,
And you can
then
eat them.
Sometimes they'll reseed even.
They do. This is actually oregano here, which
I was
try to
noticing that.
just incorporate. If it's edible or flowers or grows well, it can stay.
Yeah, I love that you're using like herbs as, herbs and edibles as landscape plants.
Yeah.
They can do double duty.
For sure.
And then look at this. I love your trellis. I love your garden
Yeah, I
beds
grew
here.
cantaloupes here last year, and I'm trying to switch things around, but cantaloupes and cucumbers, they do really well up on a... I try to keep everything off the ground because it's less pests, you know. You can look at them a little easier and see what's going on if they're viney.
And then it becomes another landscape element that changes throughout the season.
Yep.
Now, you told me something about your arborvitae, and this is a good point to bring up for especially newer people.
If you want to look here, this is the first one that died. So when these were planted before we lived here, you can see this yellow twine.
Oh, and look, see,
and
this
they
is
were
perfect.
Planted with that around them. Well,
see where it girdled it. You can, you can actually see the area where the twine is tied, and it's like tying a tourniquet on your leg and never taking it off.
And so, we didn't know that, and it's probably 3 years ago started noticing, why do these look so unhappy? And I started investigating a little bit. I think Ton told me to check that, actually.
That's a good thing to check first if you start having death for no reason.
And I had no idea, So that one died, and I think some of them, it was probably too late for them, and this one is on its way out, but it's not quite dead yet. So,
so no matter what the nursery says, remove the baskets and especially the twine.
Especially the twine. Anything that's going to suffocate it. Like if it was just like something that would degrade, I think that would be fine.
And even burlap doesn't degrade here.
Yeah.
We're so dry here that, maybe on the East Coast.
Even the cardboard takes a long time to degrade. So,
speaking of cardboard, really quick, you said something about how you did your mulching.
Some of the grass areas, after I didn't enjoy the solarizing because it was ugly.
Yeah.
I did cardboard just right on top of the grass. I did the edging first. So basically I had to dig a trench. I put in the edging, then I put down cardboard, wet it down, and you need a good 4-6 inches of mulch though. You can't skimp on it.
Right.
And it's easy to say, well, that's good enough, but it's not. You need a lot. So, but it worked really well. And these areas I did that way, this section here.
And the one thing I love about the trench method that we've been talking about is when you do pile that 6 to however many inches of mulch you put on there, it just gives it a gently mounded look instead of like, here's my cliff and my hill.
Right. And then once the grass dies, it's kind of like compost.
Yeah, you never have to remove it.
So it adds to the soil a little bit.
It does.
So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, so you don't have to dig out your sod and figure out ways to get rid of it. You don't have to dig out your sod, no, because it's so much work. So I just planted about a week ago because I didn't want to deal with covering and uncovering. See, this is another little nook, another little room that makes you feel like you're just, you've walked out of, one part of your yard and then you don't notice it. So you're just on your own here in your garden room.
Yes. When we moved here, this was a chicken coop. This was like a fence, like a wooden fence. So I took down all the fence posts. I kind of just made this little zen just so it looked kind of pretty. And kind of, just so it looked, I didn't like all the fence. I did repurpose the fence wood though.
See, I love that.
With it.
And I love this path.
And these just kind of, to give it a little space, easier to walk around in. I do use soil pep for a cover in my garden, not mulch. I just think it breaks down better and incorporates into the soil better.
And it's pretty and it smells good.
It does. Yeah, and everything. I mean, the soil was great for the first couple years because it was full of chicken poop.
Yes.
But once that was done, digging in, it's still rocks and rocks and rocks. And it's really a lot better now when you dig a hole in this bed after 5 years of adding things to it. It's like pretty nice soil now. So yeah, we did this, and then this section over here.
Yeah, I love it. You got a little asparagus down at the end, and all your tomatoes right where they're going to get the heat that they need. Yeah.
I try to spread my plants out a little bit. I know a lot of people do rows. I find that you have a lower pest burden if you don't line them all up, because I notice sometimes like The cabbage aphids will find that cabbage, but not the other ones.
So thank you so much, Terry. This has been so much fun. Your property is absolutely gorgeous, and I think you've given a lot of really good tips for people who are afraid to kind of make this change.
Don't be afraid, do it.
Yeah, and I love to do this one section at a time.
Yes, one section at a time. It's a big yard. We are on a half acre.
So it doesn't have to be overwhelming, and you can find methods to simplify it, like your cardboard method or
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. Reusing the things that you already have on your property so it's less expensive to do.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.
Have a good day.